안녕하세요, 여러분. Korean Study Junkie에서 준이에요. 오늘은 we're going to learn the difference between the many ways to say because in Korean. Hopefully you can hear me well, but there is a bit of background noise. I'm hoping it doesn't come out on the audio too much, but I was really thinking like what video should I make next? And then I remembered these guys exist. There are so many concepts in Korean where it's just like, okay, you learn one thing, now here's another thing that means the same exact thing. It sometimes can be used interchangeably, but it's also different. It's also not the same at all, and also can't be used interchangeably. You know, very confusing. So today we're going to learn the difference between 기 때문에, 어서, and 우니까. If you haven't studied each of these three individually yet, I would do that first before going through this video because it might make it more confusing for you. But if you have, then buckle up. We are going to do like a short little talk about each of them. So first is 기 때문에. 기 때문에 to me feels like kind of the most like formal one. I don't hear it as often unless it's like with a noun plus 때문에. That I hear more often, but otherwise it's more like informal situations, I would say, from when I'm hearing it. But, you know. So this translates as because can be used with verbs, adjectives, and nouns, you know. And it has kind of a more clear reason than using 어서 and 우니까 when we're doing 기 때문에 or just 때문에. Yeah. Maybe this one is more like also written, because I feel like I could also see this being more prominent in like writing. So if that's worth anything to you. Of course, we can use it with the past tense form. So we can actually put the past tense before 기 때문에, which we can't do with 어서, as we should know. So the clause before it, the verb or whatever that comes before it, can be conjugated in past tense. And we gotta add 기 directly to the at or ot. 폰이 없었기 때문에, because I didn't have my phone, 연락하지 못했어요. I couldn't contact you. And we can also do future tense. So just in general, the only tense that gets added to 어서 is the present tense, technically. So no past tense and no future tense. But 우니까 and 때문에 both can do that. So here we have either 것이기 때문에 or just 거기 때문에. 나중에 먹을 것이기 때문에, because I'll eat later. 지금 먹고 싶지 않아. I don't want to eat now. So, rules here. 기 때문에 cannot be used in an imperative sentence or a propositive sentence. So no like telling someone else to do something, no commands. And not suggesting someone to do something, and not saying, let's do, you know, type of sentences. Instead, that's usually like 우니까 for those things. Or if you want to, instead of putting it into one sentence, you can break it up into two sentences and put something like 그래서 in between them. So here's an example down here. This is actually misspelled, I'm seeing now. 춥다, cold. 날씨가 춥기 때문에 따뜻한 옷을 입으세요. So we can't do that, though technically, literally, if you translate it, it could be correct translation. In the world of grammar rules, it would be considered incorrect. So 날씨가 추우니까, because it's cold or the weather is cold, 따뜻한 옷을 입으세요. Please wear something warm. Or we can say 날씨가 추워요. 그래서 따뜻한 옷을 입으세요. And we can't do this with 서 either. But we're about to talk about that one next. So, first difference, we can't make any commands, suggestions, or say, let's do something using temune. Now, the most famous one. I would say this is the most used one, right? So, of course, this one means because they all do. I mean, that's what we're here. But this one also has separate meanings, separate usages. It can mean like and as well. And it kind of can be used the same as goal in a sense. So, and it's usually like an order of operations thing. Like I do this first and then I do that type of thing. Like I peeled the banana and ate it. You can't eat the banana without peeling it. I mean, maybe you could, but most people don't. So the main usage though is just to indicate a reason for what happens in the second clause or the first clause. So, or because. 배고파서 먹고 싶어요. I'm hungry, so I want to eat. So whatever comes before so is like the background information that we need to set up the second sentence. Why do I want to eat? Why 먹고 싶어요? The background information tells us it's because 배고파요. I'm hungry. So, yeah, we want to put our reason why first, then so, and then, the consequence or whatever of that. We can use this one also with verbs, adjectives, and nouns. And before the nouns, the form is a little bit, how could I say that? Like, I don't want to say ambiguous, but there are two ways you can go about it. You can do 이라서, 라서, or just 이어서. I feel like I hear Koreans use the 라서 more, so that's what I tend to stick with. It's heavy because it's a sofa. 소파라서 무거워요. 소파라서 무거워요. Setting it up, the background information, the reason why 소파, it's a sofa. 소파예요. 그래서 무거워요. It's heavy. So the rules for this one, kind of the same as the last one. We cannot use it for making commands, requests, suggestions, or saying things like, let's do something together. In that case, we want to just do unika. And that way, unika is kind of very different from the other two because we can make those types of sentences. So, seyo ending, kayo ending, 자, the 빕시다, 울래요, that's those sort of endings. Should try to stray away from them with so. And then, like I said before, the tense markers at, ot, get, the other one, the koyeo ending, cannot come before so in the form. No matter what tense is going on in the sentence, it always has to stay as present tense. It has to look present tense, but we know from the context or from the last verb in the sentence that it's present tense or past tense or future tense, So let's say maybe that 밥 많이 먹어서 안 배고파요. 밥 많이 먹어서 안 배고파요. What would you translate this as? Right, so past tense. So I ate a lot of food, so I'm not hungry. The first part of this is past tense, and the second part of this is present tense. And we simply know that just from the context of it. The tense does not come before so. And our last one, our champion, really, unika. Also gets shortened to just ni or uni. One of the most common ways of saying because, so, since. It can be used with verbs, adjectives, and nouns, just like the rest of them. But this time we can put the tense markers before unika. So, 아쓰니까, 없으니까, 했으니까. And future tense we can do 깼으니까, Or we can even do 올 거니까, which is just a combination of 거예요 and 니까, so 거니까. And it's also can be used at the end of a sentence. And we can either just leave it as unica, or we can have unicayo for a little bit more politeness to it. So another difference, if since we're pointing out differences, with this one, there is also another usage that is more like you realize something after doing things, either for a little bit, for a while, like I realized it's hard to live alone after living by myself for a few months, or I realized I can eat spicy food really well after eating it a few times. Here's another example. 학교에 가니까 아무도 없었어요. When I went to school, I realized there was nobody there. But I wish I had more examples of here. Anyways, so the rules and differences between all three now. The biggest and most notable difference between the two is that a also cannot be used with prepositive sentences and imperative sentences, and unica can. 때문에 is the same. It also can't be used for suggestions, for requests, commands, all those things. So if I need to say something like, I'm hungry, please come quickly. Like maybe they're bringing the food. 배가 고파서, 배가 고프기 때문에 빨리 오세요. Dang, that was not correct. Can't do that. And if you do stray to using that, it could feel a little unnatural. So maybe try to just stick with this unica rule. Or if you want, just always split it into two. You say 배가 고파, 빨리 와. Or 배가 고파요, 빨리 와요. Because sometimes a command, you don't always need the seyo form. You can just end it with yo. And then, of course, the right way to say it. 배가 고프니까 or 배가 고프니 빨리 오세요. I'm hungry, so please come fast, quickly. Okay. Now, a situation where unica cannot be used. So it cannot be used in common greetings and certain common expressions. Same for 때문에. So if I want to say nice to meet you, sorry for being late, thank you for coming, those types of sentences, we use a also for that. I probably should have put that up there. But whatever. I'm just using a lesson I made years ago. So 만나서 반갑습니다. Literally, 만나서, because I'm meeting you, 반갑습니다, I'm happy, or I'm glad. I'm glad to meet you. So we couldn't replace that so with anything else. We can't say 만나니까 반갑습니다, 만나기 때문에 반갑습니다. That sounds very, very awkward, very not good. Here's another one. 늦게 와서, because I came late, 미안해요. I'm sorry. 늦게 와서 미안해요. That one's perfect. We couldn't replace that with 늦게 왔으니까, 늦게 왔기 때문에 미안해요. Doesn't sound great at all. So for common expressions like this, we want to use so as well. And like we said before, we can't put the past or future tense markers before so, also, 해서. But we can talk about something that happened in the past and the future. We just can't use it right before, With unica, we can. With 때문에, we can. 먹었으니까, like that, because I ate. 먹었었어. That would be incorrect. I see my students doing this all the time, even though I always tell them not to do it. I think they just forget, but the correct form would just be this. 먹어서. Right? Okay. So here's a little chart that I made a long time ago when I made this lesson first. If you want to screenshot this or something like that, Just take that with you on your studies or something. Screenshot it. I don't know if you have like digital notes, but if you do, you could screenshot and like put that in your digital notebook or whatever somewhere. Or you can just copy this chart in your notes if you like physical notes. I have more examples out here. Okay, that's good. Because I was thinking I don't have many examples in this. Let's read through some of these. So, 기 때문에, 비 때문에, due to the rain, because of the rain, 차가 많이 막혔어요. There was a lot of traffic. So, 차가 막히다. That's like for the cars to be blocked, literally. So that's how you say traffic. 차가 막혀요. 차가 막혔어요. Next one. 금요일은 친구 생일이기 때문에 만날 수 없어요. 금요일은 Friday. 친구 생일이기 때문에 it's my friend's birthday. So 만날 수 없어요. I can't meet. So this one's interesting because this is the other way you can do the noun form. There's two ways to do nouns in this. And with 때문에, of course. 친구 생일이기 때문에, because it is my friend's birthday. And then, so that's like, because something is a noun, we do 이기 때문에 versus the first one, which is because of noun, 비 때문에, due to this noun, slight difference. Because of noun or because it is a noun, Next one, this is misspelled. I hate having typos, but it's like such a human thing, 저는 배고프기 때문에 because I'm hungry, 밥을 먹고 싶어요. I want to eat. This is something interesting I'll point out. Whenever you have something like you're saying I'm eating, but you're not specifying what you're eating, you should use 밥. Instead of just only saying 먹어요, you should put 밥 in there as well. It's just something I noticed that Korean people do a lot. So instead of just saying 먹고 싶다, 먹고 싶어, you could say 밥 먹고 싶어 or 밥 먹어요. Like someone asks you, what are you doing? 뭐 해요? 밥 먹어요. I'm eating. If you don't want to have to like specify exactly what you're eating. Although the person might ask, 뭐 먹어요? Then you can say, pasta, pizza, 샐러드, 햄버거. I don't know, I'm doing all the Konglish, but that's all that came to me. Okay. 아어서. 밥을 많이 먹어서 배가 아파요. Similar to the one we had earlier. I ate a lot, so my stomach hurts. 밥을 많이 먹어서 배가 아파요. Notice the past tense forms used again in the first sentence, and then the second sentence is happening right now. So we're not saying like we're saying before, I will eat a lot later, so my stomach hurts now. That doesn't make sense. Next one is just like a adjective example. 그 옷은 작아서 못 입어요. These clothes are small. 그 옷은 작아서 못 입어요. I can't wear them. We could go further. We could say 못 입어서, and then we could say, ask somebody else, do you want these clothes? Maybe. 그 옷은 or 그 옷을 원해요. I can't fit these. I can't wear these. So do you want them? We could keep going with that. 오니까, 비가 오니까 택시를 탑시다. Because it's raining, let's take a taxi. 비가 오니까, it's raining, so 택시를 탑시다. Let's take a taxi. Or we could shorten it. 비가 오니 택시를 탑시다. I don't know if shortening happens so much in the speaking. I feel like maybe more often they keep the long form. Maybe. I'm not sure though. I haven't had that many conversations with creepy, but there's just so much grammar. My students ask me sometimes too, like, does this really appear in conversations? And I'm like, well, there's like hundreds and hundreds of grammar in Korean, so it's like it's hard to say, does this specifically pop up, you know? But and this is the formal ending for let's, the 핍시다. We could also say 택시를 타자 if it was a little less formal. And our next example, 제가 숙제를 다 했으니 이제 영화를 볼 수 있어요. I finished all of my homework. 제가 숙제를 다 했으니 therefore I can watch a movie now. 이제 영화를 볼 수 있어요. Okay, here I just want to point out, I just like pointing out things, you know, while we're going. 이제. Why are we using 이제 here instead of 지금? 이제 and 지금 actually, they have many different kinds of definitions for them, and a lot of them overlap, but one of them that I can tell you that is different is a meaning of 이제 having a meaning of from now on, from this moment on, you know? It's like I did all that, so from this moment on, I can do this next thing. So I feel like 이제 gives more of that feeling now that we're like, I'm finally done, now I can do this. You know, not that 지금 would like destroy the sentence and make it, you know, terrible. It's just the slight nuance, slight feeling change that 이제 can give to it. Like, from this moment now, I can do this thing I've been wanting to do. So, here's our last one. 위험하니까, it's dangerous, so 조심하세요. Be careful. 위험하니까 조심하세요. And that's all for this post. And there's even more ways to say because. There's 바람에, there's 누라고, there's 길래, there's so. It's like, why are there so many ways to say because? Why are there so many ways to say the one thing in Korean? And it's all about nuance, right? What is nuance? It's just that feeling, the small feeling that's embedded, a deeper feeling embedded in the language, in the sentence that you're saying, than the translation gives you, right? It's the slight change in the feeling. So for the super context-heavy language like Korean, you want to try to get a lot of context in, a lot of listening, a lot of reading, a lot of speaking with other people, putting yourself in conversation is good because you can also get exposed to that nuance. Every little bit counts. But hey, that's all for this post, for this lesson today. I will leave the link to this blog post that I made if you want a closer look or a better reference for this later on. I'll link it below. If you like this video, please please comment, please subscribe. I'm really trying to post consistently on YouTube now. If you follow me on Instagram or somewhere else, I try to post consistently on Instagram and on the blog. I post 3 times a week, new lessons, fun lessons, sometimes things like this. A lot of times I do one concept versus another concept, one word versus another word. They're usually very similar and often confused, like 함께, 같이, you know, 이다, 이에요. Now, you know, like 어디에요, 어디 있어요, like slight differences. Vocab post, like natural disaster vocab list, religion vocab list, you know. I try to be different than other Korean teachers that make blog lessons, and I like to make grammar lessons too, but I guess it's not my bread and butter, you know. I want it to be, but this is just more fun to me. I'll see you in the next video. At the end card here, if you haven't been scared away by all my yapping and ranting, then you can click on one of these videos, and I think you'll like it. And I'll see you in the next one. 다음에 봐요.